Hello, and welcome to Ann Arbor Inclusive. Ann Arbor Inclusive has partnered with Disability Network Washtenaw Monroe Livingston to bring you this disability-centered show. At AAI, we foster understanding, promote inclusivity, and share impactful stories within the disability community. I'm Claire, and I'm so excited to be your guide on this journey, celebrating and embracing diversity within our incredible community. Today, Eliot Carter, Community Program Manager and my colleague at Disability Network, joins the show to talk about assistive technology and smartphone features that help people with disabilities get the most out of their devices. Welcome, Eliot.
Thank you, Claire. So happy to be here.
Great, we're so happy to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great today. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. So what is assistive technology and who is it for?
Well, assistive technology is a very broad term, and the best way to describe it is any device, software, piece of equipment that makes living with a disability or some other limitation easier. So on the high-tech and large end of the spectrum, you have things like stair lifts for helping people get up and down the stairs. But it could also be something as simple as a pill organizer, where people who take multiple medications in one day use that to keep track of their medications. So it doesn't have to be a very high-tech solution. But what has changed a lot over these past 10 years is the rise of other consumer technologies, smartphones, iPads. They've actually been able to take on some of the roles of other assistive technology products that would normally be a lot more costly, and they would only be able to do one thing. But now with apps, you can have your device function as not just a phone, but also maybe a communication board and a magnifier. So the possibilities have really opened up for people with this new wave of technology.
That's amazing. Wow, yeah. So it's really coming to a wider demographic. More people can access these tools more easily.
Exactly, which is why I emphasize that it's not just for people who have a diagnosed disability.
Absolutely, absolutely. What technology services are available at Disability Network?
Well, every Wednesday from 11 to 3, I am available for person-centered tech support. Me or one of my colleagues is. This is both our Ann Arbor or our Monroe office. A lot of times when people go to get tech support, the people that they go to are trained to diagnose issues and offer solutions, but they don't always have time to take the whole person into account, which can lead people to feel frustrated or they're not being listened to. So I try to disrupt that a little bit, and while I'm not an Apple tech or any type of assistive technology
You're not Geek Squad?
I'm not Geek Squad, but what I am is the person who can take a look at what's going on, see how you're using your device, and offer solutions on how to either fix it on site, or if I don't know how to do it, find ways for you to get help from somewhere else.
That's fabulous.
Another part of what we do is the accessibility of one's device. So if you're having trouble using your iPhone because the letters are too small, you don't have fine motor skills, there's a lot of settings that are already on your smartphone that will make using it easier for you with your disability. So I can help people sort of sort through all those and figure out what makes the most sense for them.
Wow, that's great. It's a very personalized experience.
That's right. And then we also do have our computer lab, which is open during that time, which is again Wednesdays 11 to 3. Come on in, no appointment needed, and you can use the computer. And if you need it at a different time, call Disability Network and you can potentially reserve a spot at another time.
So it's technology across the board,
That's
assistive, right. Or if you need to access computers, printers, things like that.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So the COVID-19 pandemic changed a lot of people's relationship with technology. How has that looked for people that you've served in your role?
Well, there's not one answer, but there are two main stories that I feel have emerged when it comes to people with disabilities and technology. The first is the more tech-savvy people with disabilities who have been asking for things like remote work, telehealth. All these things suddenly have become possible, whereas before they seemed impossible. People with disabilities, in fact, have been responsible for a lot of where we are at with technology right now. The first typewriter was invented by a sighted person to help a blind colleague write letters. And then in the 1970s, the first predecessor to email, before we had a real internet, was developed by two deaf and hard of hearing people trying to connect with each other. So a big portion of the community has known about the promise of technology for a long time.
Yes.
But then you also have maybe the more common story, which is people hadn't really had a reason to use too much of this internet-based technology in the past. It can be very costly, obviously, both the device and the internet. And it's a lot of new skills to have to learn, and people had to learn them in relative isolation because of the lockdown restrictions and personal restrictions. So while there's not a single story, I think that these two parts of the disability community can come together and try and help one another navigate this new normal.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, yeah. So it was, I definitely feel like with the pandemic, it felt like a lot of barriers sort of came up, but a lot of barriers were also sort of like squashed a little bit, or like lessened, maybe is the better way to say it.
Sure.
Where with that technological advancement, or the more ubiquitous use of these technologies, right, became more prevalent. It's more common for us to use Zoom to meet than it, ever has been.
Yeah. Well, one of the downsides to this new wave of new users of technology is that there's also been a rise in things like scams and bad actors on the internet who unfortunately see people who are new to technology or people with different challenges as easy targets. So I've also heard a lot of stories of people struggling to find the confidence to navigate the internet, which is reasonable given the threats that are out there. That's an outcome of the pandemic that I think is related to the changing use of technology. And we actually do have a presentation that we can give to your community group as well regarding avoiding and preventing scams. So that's another tech service on top of everything else that I described that we have.
Disability Network is your one-stop shop.
I like to say that.
So what are some assistive technology features that people might already have on their phones or tablets and they might not even know about?
Yeah, well, what I want to show in a clip in a second is a new feature from Apple, which turns the phone into something that's a lot more disability new user friendly. So I'll balance that out with a little bit about Android features because I am an Android user personally. One piece of technology that I use a lot is something called Live Transcribe by Google. My phone is made by Google, so it came with my device, but even if you don't have a Google Pixel and you do have an Android, take a look in the Google Play Store and you should be able to download it for free. And what that will do is translate live speech into text, which you can read on your phone. So you were talking about Zoom meetings and having those automatic captions. It's like those for real life.
Wow.
And it's really saved me a few times when I haven't been able to keep track of things in a meeting.
I had no idea that existed.
Yeah, and then you can also do a similar thing on iPhones by turning on like your microphone dictation and opening up a notepad.
Oh, yes.
So there's definitely ways, even if you don't have that specific device, you can do a lot of these similar things. Other examples of things that are on your phone that may make navigating it easier are, of course, increasing the text size and the size of the icons. You can also do color correction. If you have color blindness, it'll make it puts a filter on it so it makes some of that easier to see. And you can also turn on what's called voice control on some devices, which, I mean, Siri and those devices, it's basically like that on all the time. So you can actually tell your phone to click at certain things on the screen while you're using it. And that has been helpful to people who have tremors or otherwise have difficulty touching specific things on a relatively very small screen.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. That is an incredible amount of information.
Yeah.
I love that you're here today and you can share some of these. Like I said, there are some of these things I didn't even know were there, and they're just waiting to be used.
Absolutely. So I definitely recommend whatever phone, tablet, computer you have, go into the Settings app, or System Preferences it might be called, find Accessibility, and take a look at what's there and play around with it. See if there's anything that becomes of use to you, because really they're just adding more and more. I think that it's become much more common in the tech industry to think about accessibility as you're developing these new products. And what I wanted to show was a new feature from Apple, which is available on iOS 17. So you have to make sure that your iPhone is updated in order to use it. But what it's called is Assistive Access. And it's built for people with cognitive disabilities, but I think that it has much more far-reaching uses. I can see this being very useful for seniors, again, people with difficulty with fine movements, or just anybody who's looking for a simpler smartphone experience, because there are just so many distractions that are at our fingertips at all times.
At all times.
At all times.
In our pocket or at our fingertips at all times.
So sometimes it's good to just want to take a breather from all that and reduce it down to the bare essentials, what you need: your internet, your phone, camera, and any other apps that you have that you might use frequently. What I really like about it is that once you turn on this new mode, Assistive Access, it gives you a nice big back button. And I've heard from so many people that when iPhones got rid of the physical home button, they got really lost trying to get back to their home screen. So that's kind of a adaptation sort of back to that home button that many people have lost if their devices are new.
Yes, I do recall initially being so confused. It's like, how do I get back to the things? Now I'm in the thing forever? How do I? Yeah, it is that big black button. Very nice.
Yeah, so if we can go ahead and roll the clip.
Yeah, share the clip.
Starting in iOS 17 and iPadOS 17, Assistive Access helps you tailor apps for more focused choices and a lighter cognitive load. Here's how a trusted supporter can customize it for a user with specific needs. We'll show you how to set up Assistive Access and how to start using it with the apps you choose to add. Before you start, as a trusted supporter, you'll be guided through the initial setup process and will need to create a passcode specifically for Assistive Access. You'll also need your Apple ID and password if you want to add it as a backup way to exit Assistive Access in case you forget the passcode. First, we'll start by setting it up. In Settings, scroll down and tap Accessibility. Then, scroll all the way down and tap Assistive Access. Tap Set up Assistive Access, and then tap Continue to get started. The user's Apple ID should already be signed in to the device you are setting up, but if it's not, you can tap Change Apple ID to sign them in. Tap Continue when you're ready. You'll be asked to choose how text and app icons appear. Rows are great for users who prefer text, while the grid layout is great for users who prefer visuals. We're going to select Grid for our user. Tap Continue. Then tap the Add button next to an app to optimize it for Assistive Access. The top section features apps that are designed with customizable options and are most useful to the user and close contacts they want to stay in touch with. We're going to add Calls, which gives the user a single app for phone and FaceTime calls with loved ones. You'll be provided with a list of features to customize. For example, in Calls, you can decide whether the user can receive calls from anyone or just from selected contacts. If you want to choose who the user can call, scroll down and tap Select Contact under Make Calls to Selected Contacts. Then, select a contact and select how the user can call them. You can choose a phone number for audio calls and FaceTime for video calls, and they'll both appear in the Calls app. Next, tap to turn on the dialer keypad if the user would like to dial phone numbers. You can also turn on phone options like the keypad and speaker to show them on screen during calls. Tap Continue when you're done. In addition to apps that have been specifically adapted for assistive access, you can add any other app that is installed on the device, which means they'll have a consistent back button so the user can easily return to the home screen. When you're done customizing assistive access, tap Continue and follow the prompts to finish the setup process. You'll be asked to create a passcode that is specifically for assistive access. This should be different than the one used to unlock the device. You'll also be able to provide your Apple ID as a recovery option, just in case you forget the assistive access passcode. This does not have to be the same Apple ID as the user. Keep following the prompts, and when you're done, you can tap Start using assistive access if you want to start using it right away, or tap Enter later to start using it at another time. Now that we have it set up, let's check out some additional settings and then start assistive access to show you how someone might use it. In Settings, scroll down and tap Accessibility. Then scroll all the way down and tap Assistive Access. In these settings, you can scroll down for additional customization options to use while in assistive access, like changing the wallpaper and showing the time on the lock screen. When you're ready, scroll to the top and tap Start Assistive Access. You can also add it as an accessibility shortcut. Next, enter the passcode you created during the setup process. The screen will go black while the device is entering assistive access. This might take a moment. Once it's ready for the user, they can continue using their iPhone or iPad with a lighter cognitive load. In every app, there is a consistent back button, so the user can easily return to the home screen. And that's how assistive access helps people focus on the activities they enjoy most. To find out more about the accessibility features on your Apple devices, subscribe to the Apple Support YouTube channel, or check out our accessibility playlist to keep learning.
Well, thank you for sharing that clip with us, Eliot. I hope that will be helpful for some of the folks watching at home today.
Absolutely. One thing I will say as well about that is that is another thing that we are able to help you set up. The video does mention having a trusted supporter present, and that's to help people if they ever run into trouble. So if you want to come in, get your phone set up with assistive access, I highly recommend you bring that trusted family member, friend, who can help you through the setup process, see exactly what we do, and then can help you if you run into any difficulties. But I am so happy to be able to just share this that people don't even know is even an option for them.
Right. Well, and all of us do the things that we need to, whether it's work or home or errands, any sort of thing that we're doing, just out in our regular lives, we all get support. That's just, no man is an island, right? We all need support at different points. So being able to have someone that you trust come in with you, come to Disability Network, get you all figured out with your accessibility features, it's pretty great.
Absolutely.
So I guess, my last question, looking forward to the future, what are some things that you're hopeful about in terms of technology that would help folks with disabilities or older folks?
Well, I think that assistive access shows a step in the right direction, that software developers are taking people with disabilities seriously, and that tech is not just being designed to be the latest and greatest thing, always building and building on what's already there. Sometimes people just need simple and going back to basics. So I hope that that's an indication that Android and app developers are also going to start thinking that way. And I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about technology trends in this day and age without mentioning AI. So there are definitely AI tools out there that are promising to folks with disabilities. One that I want to highlight is the Seeing AI app from Microsoft that's available, I believe, on both Apple and Android devices. And so you would be able to point your camera at certain things and it would be able to identify them. Like it would tell me that that's a plant, that's a potted plant,
wow.
and that's a coffee mug right there. AI is really good at, and it's getting better at identifying objects.
Sure.
But I am just a little bit worried about certain people saying that AI is going to fix everything. It certainly is not, and we do have to be realistic about what it can and cannot do.
It's another tool.
Absolutely.
It's another tool to be used, hopefully, in a way that benefits a lot of us.
Yeah, as long as people with disabilities are involved in the conversation of developing these tools,
Yes.
testing them before they go live, I see this as a very promising new frontier for technology.
That is wonderful. So if folks have questions or if they want to reach out to you about like your office hours, how can they reach you? What should they do?
You can go ahead and give Disability Network Washtenaw Monroe Livingston a call at 734-971-0277. Or you can just walk in on Wednesdays 11 to 3. I or another one of our assistive technology program coordinators will be able to help you and tell you more about what we have going on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Eliot.
Thank you, Claire. It's been wonderful.
Welcome to our new segment, Disability Awareness and Etiquette. Knowledge is power, and by fostering understanding, we can build a more inclusive and compassionate community for all. Throughout the year, we'll create a growing list of various etiquette tips and reminders. Our very first disability etiquette tip is ask. Always ask before offering someone assistance. Don't assume someone with a disability needs help. If you think they might need assistance, ask first and respect their response. Imagine going throughout your day, completing tasks at work or running errands, and someone you've just met rushes up to help you without even asking. It might feel intrusive, right? Well, the same consideration applies when interacting with folks with disabilities. Before offering assistance, take a moment to assess the situation. If it seems like help might be needed, don't hesitate to ask. It's a simple gesture that respects the autonomy and the preferences of the person you're dealing with. For example, if you see someone using a wheelchair struggling with a door, you can approach them and politely ask, "Would you like help with the door?" This way, you're offering assistance without assuming it's needed. Whether you're tuning in as a caregiver, a friend, a colleague, or just someone who wants to be more informed, you're in the right place. Let's learn together, grow together, and create a world that truly embraces and celebrates the abilities of all. Thank you for joining us at Ann Arbor Inclusive. For more information or to connect with disability-related resources, programming, and our vibrant community, please visit Disability Network Washtenaw Monroe Livingston in person in Ann Arbor or online at dnwml.org. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Search Disability Network Washtenaw Monroe Livingston. And be sure to check out CTN's website at a2gov.org/CTN for more great programs and services. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on social media at CTN Ann Arbor. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey here at Ann Arbor Inclusive, where diversity is our strength and every story matters. See you soon.